The nurses were of Asian descent, so when he woke up, he would apologize to people for making them come to Japan to see him. My stepfather was in a coma for about 3 weeks. When he woke up, he couldn't find his teeth. We had completely forgotten where we put them and searched for a whole week. At one point, he suddenly collapsed by the hospital sink for no apparent reason. They resuscitated him, but couldn't figure out why he could barely breathe. Then the doctors sat us down and showed us x-rays with the dentures inside. They forgot to take them out when they put the tubes in his mouth, which led to his airway being blocked or something like that. So yeah, we found them. Edit. Since this got so much interest, I decided to post the only photo I have on my old phone. I hope the link works. Here's the photo. Oh damn, tell me about it. I haven't seen a BlackBerry in years. I was in a coma for 4 days because of bacterial meningitis. When I woke up, I was completely deaf. I had to communicate with my parents and doctors using a notepad and pen. Somehow my hearing gradually returned in my left ear, but my right ear is still completely deaf to this day. Whoa, someone else who's had bacterial meningitis. I'm so glad you survived. Believe me, it could have been so much worse. Thanks, man. I'm glad I pulled through too. The doctors gave me a 10% chance of survival. Glad you made it through too. Edit. I talked to my mother. She said the doctors only gave me a 5% chance of survival. Holy crap. My wife was in a medically induced coma for 4 days. She had a reaction to contrast dye, and her heart stopped for 20 minutes. For almost 3 months, she communicated with her long-deceased parents. She talked about them as if they were in the next room. Or she would say that her daughter or brother had called her, but they hadn't. She constantly believed that her mother and father were alive. It drove me crazy having to gently correct her multiple times a day. She would make up amazing stories about what people, relatives, friends, neighbors were doing, what they were saying. Truly creative fiction. After 3 months, she started to come back to herself. The confabulation stopped, everything changed. She can remember recent events, but her long-term memories are gone. I don't know what that's like, but it must be terrible. Sometimes she cries over her lost memories, but overall, she's doing very well. My father had a reaction to contrast dye after a head injury. He had seizures, and it was like his brain rebooted. He could only speak like a little girl. My sister had just been born at that time. He couldn't hold or grasp things. He spent several months in therapy. Eventually, his mood changed. He became very irritable, a bit impatient, and very sleepy. Now he's fine, except for some neck pain. About 20 years ago, my cousin suffered a serious head injury after a fall. He was about 20 years old at the time. He was in a coma for almost 4 weeks. When he woke up, he quickly discovered that he had an eidetic memory. He could recount any conversation word for word and even tell you the date and time.